All right, guys, welcome back. So I'm once again joined by Max Cooper, player out on the Dakotas Tour, and my talented assistant. So this week we are going to talk about his transition. Now, we're going to do a feel versus real segment here. We're going to see what he feels like he's doing, but what we actually notice that he does. We are going to go and look at how the club moves, how the hands move, how the chest moves, and how pressure's moving in his transition. We're looking at that moment that that backswing is stopping and the transition begins. So let's start by approaching the end of your backswing, okay? When you're going up to the top, what are you feeling is happening at the last moment of your backswing? Is there any load of pressure in your feet, big turn? What is it?
More so of a big turn.
Okay.
We know that I have a problem of kind of not getting enough turn or finishing the turn and just pulling the hands up.
Sure.
So usually what I like to feel is I like to feel like my chest turns a little bit more and I get my shoulders 90 degrees.
Okay, now when you start that downswing out of your chest, okay, or when you start the downswing process, is it with your chest or with your hands that you feel everything beginning?
It's actually the lower body.
Okay.
So another problem that I have a tendency to do is start my transition with my chest going straight down. And that causes the club to get vert and steep, and that's not what we want in the golf swing. So what I like to feel is I like to feel like this lead leg goes down and around to start the downswing. Okay. And that's how it helps me avoid going down with the chest.
Okay, so that's a good feel. Now, here's an interesting thing that a lot of players deal with. They don't sequence this up right. Like the average golfer gets in here and just starts everything with their chest, okay? Do you feel, A, that the separation between your hips and your shoulders increases when you're doing that with your knees?
Yeah, just due to if you separate the lower body and you keep the upper body still, which will help keep the hands in the good position that you want at the top in transition, that increases that separation until everything catches up through.
Okay, so when we actually look at Max's swing, we notice that up at the top, some pretty fascinating things. So once he's getting up to the top, his chest and his lower body start moving before his hands get all the way to the top. The hands are still slightly going back. So that pushes into a cycle where he's really pushing into that lead arm, which helps him shallow the shaft really well. So when he gets that lower body moving, you actually notice with Max that there is more separation between the pelvis and the shoulders in transition. So that gap widens. Now, it goes from about 45 degrees when he's playing really well and a gap between his hips and his shoulders to about 51 degrees in transition. So there's a real stretch there. I think that's one of the keys for you really creating the power that you have in your golf swing. He did a qualifier yesterday and he manages to just blast it by most pros. That's one of the best parts of your game is the distance you have. Now, when you're doing that knee movement, when you're working to get that knee around, what are you feeling in your feet in terms of pressure movement?
So in transition, I like to feel everything get in the outside part of the foot, more so that pinky toe. Because if you feel like you sit into that foot, you're going to get everything forward, and it's very hard to get everything back unless you manipulate very hard to add a tilt or something.
Sure. So we notice when we're looking at Max on a force plate that the pressure starts creeping from the outside part of the foot towards the heel in transition. So when his knee is making that movement, it is actually going around and putting him in a good position where he starts his rotational process. So in transition, you notice that the pressure moves from the inside part of his foot, of his lead foot, to the outside part. Do you feel anything? Is there ever a push in transition coming out of your right foot immediately, or is it mostly in your lead foot?
It's mostly in the lead foot. I mean, eventually, once you get to P5.5, everything will start pushing up.
Sure.
But usually in transition, everything's just going down and you're using ground forces to get you're pushing to the ground.
So that's a really interesting feel that you have there, because a lot of players feel a push out of their right foot to start the downswing. Now, a lot of those players get the pelvis sliding too far forward, tilt back, get really dumped under, can't rotate their chest at all. So that's really interesting that you don't feel any push early out of that trail foot. And I think that's a good feel that a lot of players should work with. Now, the final question I have, with your hands, what are you feeling in transition?
I feel that they get out, but they stay up, because this will help shallow the shaft more. And so there's a feel that we worked on last summer when I was playing really well and it was working. Just feeling like everything gets this way, because if you put the force on the handle and it goes the club's going to shallow.
Right.
But if you put a force on the handle going this way, it's just going to steepen. So I feel everything get out.
That's a really important feel. When Max is playing well, that is what's happening. There is a downward force and his arms do extend. He gets wider in his transition, but there's no pull in this fashion coming down. The arms stay up, widen, and he turns his chest. That is a great feel, and it's something that's excellent to see in him when he really creates that movement and transition that leads to all that speed. So I hope you find this video interesting, hearing what he feels versus what he really does in his golf swing, and I hope to see you guys next week. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I greatly appreciate every single one of you. I come out with new content every Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday. Thanks a lot, you guys.